Hello. July and August are mostly watering, weeding and maintenance, but here are a few noteworthy things that happened on the allotments. The greenhouse is absolutely rocketing. Cucumbers are almost as tall as me. There's tomatoes getting to near the top. These other ones have reached the top and they're fruiting. The tumblers are doing okay. That cucumber's going great guns. Oh, yeah, we've got a tiny little aubergine on there. There's quite a few flowers on these plants, so yeah, it's looking good. This one wasn't a tumbler, but it's turned itself into a tumbler, so I'll leave it. And same with that one. But yeah, I'm pleased with this. The peppers are doing alright. They're small, perfectly formed, but small. The green ones tend to be larger, but the coloured ones tend to be small, and then of course things start eating into them, so problem there. These pumpkins and squashes are doing okay. We've got the odd good little squash on there. Still got a bit of growing to do, but at least we've got something. These pumpkins haven't been so prolific, and every time something comes up, it's all gone squishy in there. The raspberries and strawberries doing okay. I think these are the ones that I put in back in March, April, and they're already flowering and fruiting. Whoa, look at that. That's actually ready. Lovely. These ones in the pots are doing the same, so I might get up on it. The mange too, I've still got a few in, but that's coming to the end, so I might give it a final pick. They say when you move black currants and red currants, they take peeve and don't fruit. Well, this one was one that we dug up earlier this year from another plot that wanted to get rid of it, and then we put them into pots, and it's sitting in the pot and it's flowered and fruiting. Same with this other red currant. Okay, it's not a huge bumper crop, but I was worried about putting them into the ground and causing problems, but it seems to be happy enough in the pots for now. With this one tomato outside, I put it out as an experiment to see how it would do, and it's really not doing that well. It's supposed to be an outdoor variety, but compared to the ones in the greenhouse, it's really not doing well, so I might get rid of it. These gherkins are doing great. The cucamelon, well, it's sort of making an effort, but really doesn't seem all that interested. That one needs to be tied up. I think I tied it up, but it must have fallen off. The peas, yep, they're going. These are the Allotment peas, the tall ones, so they've got a bit of climbing to do still. These other pumpkins and squashes are okay, but nothing that wonderful. And the beans are absolutely nowhere compared to where they should be. And the ones I direct sowed never came up, so that's that. We've had a lot of gooseberries. Other people have been picking them. These raspberries are doing great. I'll have to come and have a pick through this lot. The raspberry plant is chocker. I might get a punnet of raspberries to take home today. Unfortunately, this apple tree seems to be pretty bare. The odd apple on it, but certainly nothing like it should have been. Physalis are doing alright. They're starting to set fruit. Courgettes, yeah, little baby courgettes, so that's fine. A little bit of slug damage on some of the leaves, but apart from that, not a problem. These other Physalis are still doing okay. They went in the ground late, so they're late producing. There is a massive lemon balm plant here, and what I'm going to do is once I've got the brambles and stuff out of it, I'll dig it up and move it somewhere a bit better, probably onto the other plot, but the actual smell of lemon balm is absolutely wonderful. We've got this really sweet yellow gooseberry that we've picked a load of fruit off, and my friend John's come in and layered that. He's also taken a couple of cuttings, but he's layered that, so we'll see what happens with that. The trouble is, all this bindweed has come in from the other side of the hedge, just taken over, so I'll have to have a go at this. No, I spent all that time cutting the hedge, making it look nice, and then the bindweed turns up, and it's got white pretty flowers, but it's a bloody nuisance, so that's got to go. Someone had left this compost barrel in the car park, and it says free to a good home, so I thought, alright, I'll give it a good home. And it's got a hole to get the compost to the bottom, and it's got a hinged lid, and obviously I filled it with stuff to compost down. in amongst all the weeds, this bed that we've left fallow because I just haven't got time to deal with it, is things like teasel. There's another one over there, and this is evening primrose. Right, a little pick for today. Some tomatoes for salads and a few strawberries and raspberries. Obviously there's more, but I'll be back tomorrow, so I'll pick some more tomorrow, but this will do for today. I wish the cucumbers would hurry up. The onions in this module never got planted, but they've kept going. I just didn't get a chance to find some room for them, so they've been sitting on the module, but they'll keep going. So use them as spring onions. Just pick a couple every day and use as spring onions. Too late to plant them now. And some Swiss chard leaves, perpetual spinach leaves, mint, and those onions are picked as spring onions to go with the tomatoes. So really all it needs is some cucumbers, and that's my salad complete. And then I've got some raspberries and strawberries for afters. These ridge cucumbers are supposed to be mostly spineless, but look at them, that's not mostly spineless. But try them out and see what they're like. This greenhouse is absolutely going berserk. So just water, pick a few tomatoes, and that'll do for today. But it's like a jungle. I can't see through it. My friend John's come here and trimmed the paths with his trimmer, so that's been useful because all this stuff was overgrown and he couldn't get through. So grateful to him for that. He's also trimmed the hedges back so I can get through here again, but really I need to take these hedges back, cut them. I mean, this I'll cut back in April, right back to the wood, and there's only that little bit that you can see how far I cut it back, and the rest of it, it's all just grown back, and that will grow back as well in time. So if I can take it back a little bit more, then it won't be a problem getting through this path every time I want to go through. But yeah, he's done a good job. So really grateful to him for that. He's also come in and cleared these gooseberry bushes. Well, he's going to get his pick of one of these gooseberry bushes, and he's taking some cuttings from the other one. But yes, he's done a good job. He's actually pruned and cleared out these gooseberries. So that's another job I have to thank him for. So this bed looks a lot better than it did before. He's also come in and trimmed some along here, and that mess there, he's trimmed that. Know that they'll come back, but he's done a good job of clearing some of this stuff. And with this bit, I've got to take this carpet up, and then I can mulch it. So all these bits of grass and rubbish, when I get the time, I'll bring some more mulch and cover this up. And there's more carpet under this lot. Which is, oh god, there's layers and layers of the stuff. So I'm going to leave it for now and deal with it later. But yeah, it looks a lot neater because there's glass and stuff back there. He stopped here, and there's all that Anderson shelter with all the other, God knows what else that's been there for many years. So I'm not messing with that. It's looking a bit less daunting than it was a few days ago. And the loganberry is fruiting. I've picked a few this morning, but it's mixed in with brambles. So this is a bit of loganberry, but this hasn't got any fruit on it. There's some other bits, but then there's brambles as well, and nettles and all sorts mixed in here. So I'll have to get some thick gloves and get onto this. And there was a gap there, but the brambles have taken it over again in the space of about 2 months. That looks like another piece of loganberry, so might try and layer this somehow. Well, if I could get through this lot. But it's difficult keeping this area clear because there's the fence. That's what's on the other side of it. And they're coming through and dropping seeds onto this side, so I'll never get rid of it. But I just have to keep clearing it. I could see the ground 2 months ago because I cleared all this, but look at it now. The strawberries are still producing, and they're sending out runners, so we need to start taking some of these. These cucumbers are going great guns. They're not the best cucumbers, I've had a taste, but seem alright. These tomatoes were supposed to be short determinate tomatoes, but they just keep going. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that about these, but they're just getting a bit rather large. So I'll have to reorganise things a bit in here, see if we can get some more of them tied up. Right, well I don't need the potting up station at the moment, so this stuff can be moved over onto here. There are the odd drips from the roof, and this was where the gap was and it was leaking. You can see obviously it's had a damaging effect on this table, but for now I'm not potting up or anything here, so this will be fine. These tomato plants were surplus to requirement and couldn't find a home for them, so they'll just have to be composted. If it wasn't for the problem with the roof dripping, this would actually be, you know, obviously this is not steady enough, but if I rebuild this, this would be the perfect area for potting. Got a little window there, got the shelves there, and I've got all the shelves with all the pots and stuff in it, so this would be the perfect spot for it. These are all the stuff I pricked out, or ones that didn't germinate, so I'll have to just put these in the compost. Or use them to fill pots as I pot stuff up, but obviously don't use them for seeds again. The trouble with this greenhouse is there's only about 30 centimeters between the bench and the start of the slanting windows, so things like this pepper don't have that much room to grow. And you can see this one's a little bit bigger, so I'll have to move these along and turn some of these trays at 90 degrees so things like the tomatoes have got more room. Okay, so I've turned it so rather than being that way, it's lengthways along the bench, and both of these tomatoes, this was the one that was behind, and you can see it's sort of got itself in a bit of a mess because it wasn't getting enough sunlight, and so I need to raise that and tie that up. Okay, well these have been tied up and they look a little bit better. These ones have really reached the top, so I need to pinch the tops off these. That's the last truss, so I'm going to cut just above it. Those aubergines behind are in the shadow of these other ones. You can see this one is quite tall, that one, because it was sort of shaded out by this one a little bit. It's a bit smaller. I think these two at the back might have been the smaller ones anyway, but they're certainly not getting the sunlight they deserve. But we do have little aubergine. So moving them over here, they should get a bit more light and hopefully be more productive. Right, after that reorganisation and a little bit of pruning and taking suckers off these, it looks less like a jungle, and I can actually see through the paths and I can actually get through to the back. This one will just have to stay where it is for the moment because I haven't got quite enough room for everything, so that one will have to sit at the back, but it seems to be quite happy. But that is shading out this tomato a little bit, but this tomato doesn't seem to be too bothered by it, so I'm going to leave it and we'll see. These tomatoes are going great guns. I mean, I've just picked this lot and there's still loads on the plants. These are all the sun golds, so they will look yellow. That doesn't mean they're underripe, that means they're ready. And these ones, once they get going, then there's no stopping them. There's still these ones that will produce when they're bigger. I mean, these are quite a fair size. Put these down in that. It's a reasonable size. I don't want huge tomatoes, so these are doing great, and they're still flowering as well. So yeah, I'm pleased with this. And we've got little aubergines coming up and more flowers. So these plants are doing okay. This one looks a bit yellow in bits, but it seems alright. The top's going alright. It's just it might have been a watering problem, but I've fed it and it seems to be happy now. And on this side it's all green, and you know, that's all grown okay, so no worries there. It just looks a bit unhealthy looking at it from this angle. The trouble with having a greenhouse full of tomatoes is they get ripe and suddenly you've got a glut. Been struggling to get enough, and now I've got a glut. That dripping is a pot that I just watered, but yeah, I'm really pleased with these tomatoes. And the aubergines are doing great. I mean, coming along. This one is the biggest, so, and you can see there's quite a few on this plant. New one's coming up, and it's still flowering and growing. So if nothing untoward happens, should have a few dishes with aubergines in a few weeks' time. Yeah, I'm pleased with these, but yeah, looks like I'll have to give some tomatoes away because I've got a load that I picked the other day that I'm going through. It's now safe to take the plastic off the bay cuttings, and clearly these two did not make it. That one's dead, and that one's, yep, dead. But these other three, I mean this one, if we can focus, it's actually growing. The other two are still going okay, so I'll just keep it watered, and just to err on the side of caution, I'm not going to split it just yet. I'll give it about another 3 or 4 weeks, because we're going into a heat wave at the moment, so it's the wrong time to be stressing the plants out. So I'll wait till we go into a cool period, and then I can pot these up, and then they can get established whilst it's a little bit cooler and they don't dry out quite as fast. They just need a little bit of watering. Don't want to flood it, but then again I don't want to dry it out. These tomatoes are doing really well. I mean, the size of that one, that's for lunch today, and there's more coming up. Pleased with this one. And these tumblers, they just keep producing. And the aubergines will be ready to pick fairly soon, and you know, they're getting a fair size. Obviously not quite ready for picking yet, but getting close. But these aubergines and tomatoes have got really tangled up, so I need to move one of them out of the way. The aubergines and tomatoes are quite tangled up now because they've grown into each other, but I need both hands and I've got nowhere to put the camera, so I'll have to sort this out and then come back to you. And everything else has had a bit of a prune as well. I've got rid of all the suckers, tied everything back, thinned out these bush tomatoes. I think next year I'm not going to grow bush tomatoes in the greenhouse, they just get out of control. I've got too many tomatoes in here, and I tried to cram in too much. I think 1 or 2 tomatoes less would have been better, as I've had to keep pruning things just to give them light and air and stop disease coming in. But I mean, I'm pleased with the aubergines, they're going gangbusters. Won't be long before I'll be harvesting these. And the peppers, that's a small one, I've just harvested a few. This one's doing okay. So I'm pleased with the peppers, and that one is absolutely loaded. The tomatoes look a bit bare now because I've picked everything that was ripe to encourage the rest to ripen up. But I've got 2 punnets of strawberries and a load of trusses and things, so good enough for a while. Well, that's what's happened on the main allotment. Do join us again for more shenanigans on the allotments. Goodbye for now, and come back soon.